I get a lot of questions from people who haven't even applied, who haven't even gotten into law school about federal clerkships. And I'm like, pause. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I'm going to be talking about why everyone should aim to do a federal clerkship. This video has been a long time coming. I've got a lot of requests for it. And so here it finally is. I have done two clerkships, two federal clerkships, one on the district court and one on the circuit court. And so this video, I'm not going to separate between the two. Maybe I'll talk about the differences between the two in another video. Today, I'm just going to talk about the overall benefits of doing a federal clerkship in general and why every law school graduate should aim to do one. So if you guys don't know, my name is Sephora. I'm a licensed attorney and law school coach, and I help and coach law school applicants and law school students. You can get coaching by going to the link in the description box, toppingthecurve.com, to view all our coaching opportunities and sign up for our upcoming workshops. Okay, so let's jump into the video. First and foremost, let me say this. You can only do a federal clerkship after you have graduated law school, okay? Federal clerkships are people with JDs. Now that we have that all out of the way, I'll jump into the nitty gritty. So the first benefit of why I think everyone should aim to do a federal clerkship is the learning opportunities. I mean, the learning opportunities are just exponential. It shoots you from like being a baby lawyer almost to immediately being like a median, like a median lawyer. You learn so much in your federal clerkship. Like I said, I did two federal clerkships. So each of my clerkships were a year each. And on average, most federal clerkships are a year each. Some judges want 2 years, but majority is a year. And during those 2 years, it's like I feel like I have had 4 years, like double the experience. Part of that is because of the workload. So both on my district court and my circuit court, the workload was extremely, extremely heavy. And the other part of that is you are looking at so many different parts of the law, right? And so it's not like when you go straight into your firm or straight into your job and you're probably primarily working on similar things in similar areas, whether that be, like discrimination law or media law or sports law or like mergers and acquisitions or banking or real estate or whatever. When you're in a federal clerkship, you see almost everything. Like you see so many different things. It's almost like you become a mini expert on so many different things. I remember like at the start of my circuit court clerkship, I had something on the FTCA. So that's the Federal Tort Claims Act. I had something on what was it? There was like some tax issues that was actually in the beginning of my district court. I had something with CFPB. I had something with like literally everything. Title VII. I mean, there was just so many different things, like so many different areas of the law that I saw, but not only saw, worked on, of course, within like my first 1 month in both of my clerkships, right? And so you're in this environment where you're learning so much and you're forced to learn it pretty quickly because especially on the district court level, you have something called the CJRA list. And I'm not saying I'm getting into the differences, but on the district court level, you have your court docket and it's your job to get rid of those motions. And so you're having to learn about the law, learn about it relatively quickly, but also do it well, right? And so it forces you to learn pretty quickly, to level up your knowledge in the law, and also to spend the time needed to make sure that you're doing it well. So that first piece is like you're learning so much, you're learning a wide breadth instead of just focusing on one specific area of the law. But then the other piece of that is also you're just improving every single little piece, right? So because when you get an assignment, you have to do everything from start to finish, right? You're doing the researching, you're doing the writing, you're doing the drafting, you're writing the memo to the judge, or you're writing the draft opinion, or you're working on the preliminary injunction, or you're working on discovery, or you're listening in on the calls with the parties to the judge as it relates to like discovery issues or whatever it may be, right? So there's literally just, you're involved at every single step. And so you literally learn the law from behind the bench, as I like to call it, right? And I say behind the bench, of course, because you're working for a judge. So you get to see the back end of things and not only the front end that you may see when you're a baby attorney. And I say baby attorney, just meaning like first, second year out of law school. You got to see the back end along with the front end, right? So you're learning literally the whole thing. You're learning the whole thing, and that's just so beneficial. I'm sure you could tell it's beneficial from how I'm explaining it, because you learn so much. You know, like, well, hey, this comes next. You know how this goes. You know what this should look like. You know, and more specifically too, you know the nuances, not only of your judge, but possibly other judges in your courthouse, right? So there's just so many benefits there. And that's also why, this is another benefit I'll get to later on, but that's also why you are so in demand when you're coming off a federal clerkship. Benefit number 2 is building relationships. So naturally, hopefully you've built a lot of relationships while you were in law school with networking and all that good stuff. But also when you're in your federal clerkship, you have so much opportunity to build relationships, not only with your judge, but also with your fellow co-clerks and the other clerks in the building. Like, if you think about it, to land a federal clerkship is pretty difficult to do, and pretty much only like the top of the top, the cream of the crop, are able to land federal clerkships. Of course, that's not an across the board rule, but for the most part, that's how it is, right? No law school places over 30% of their graduates into federal clerkships, and only 15 law schools place the majority of federal clerks into federal clerkships, okay? And the most common things that judges are looking for are top grades, law review, and strong writing, okay? So with that being said, you are literally in the room with not only your judge and potentially even other judges, because on both of my clerkships, I got the chance to meet and talk to and network with other judges, but also the other clerks who are also attorneys, who are also going to go on and do great things just like you are, right? And so you're building these relationships, and you're setting yourself up to have relationships with people who are going to be in doing great things and having great positions. Now, should you always be networking, like I've always said, even in law school, regardless of where the person is or what the person's going to be doing in the future, potentially? Yes, absolutely. But when you are in this clerkship, it's like you should be taking advantage of it, because you already know that these people, for the fact that they have this clerkship, are likely going to be just good people to be friends with, just good people to have in your professional networking, right? And these are genuine connections that you should be trying to build, right? So talked about learning the law, the breadth of the law, talked about improving your research and writing. You're going to be a phenomenal researcher and writer. It's like a year-long boot camp the entire time, right? You're getting revisions from your judges. You're getting edits from your judges. You're making sure that the product you're putting out is very well done. And then the third thing that I just taught, or I guess second, third, however you want to categorize it, that I just talked about, is building relationships. The fourth part is you will become a better lawyer. So all of this makes you a better lawyer, but also you're going to learn what bad and good lawyering looks like. So especially on both courts, right? Because you get to listen in on oral argument on the circuit court, and you get to actually attend trials on the district court. And so you'll see the two lawyers, you'll see the prosecution, and you'll see the defense, and you'll see, hey, was that a good cross examination? Was that a good direct examination? Was that a good opening? Was that a good closing? How was the jury reacting? You'll get to see voir dire. I mean, literally, you are getting the inside look on what makes a good attorney, on what works, on what doesn't. And you talk to your judge about this. At least I talked to my judge about it, right? And then in oral arguments for the circuit court, you're also seeing like what works and what doesn't, and what's good and what's not. And sometimes when attorneys are literally just giving up good arguments by not talking about them, right? Not realizing what their strongest argument is, which you know because you worked so in depth on the case, right? I'll work so in depth on some of these circuit court cases and go to oral argument, and the attorney just won't mention it. And that's probably one, because they weren't prepared, or two, they didn't think it was as strong as an argument as it actually was, right? Or they thought the judges may think something else was more important, or they're trying to tailor their arguments to the judges who are on that panel, right? So literally you have the inside scoop of what you should do, of how you can learn and start to think about what kind of style you want to have as either trial or appellate attorney. And also, I don't even know if I should keep counting anymore, because I don't know what number this is, 4 or 5. You get to learn like what kind of attorney do you want to be. So you can say like, I want to be a trial attorney, or I want to be an appellate attorney, or I'm not interested in either. Or I don't like litigation, right? And then there's also the Delaware court. I think it's the Delaware Court of Chancery, which is geared towards more bankruptcy things, or geared towards more corporate things if you're more interested in corporate law, right? And so I just think there's so many opportunities for you through your federal clerkships that's going to make you a better attorney and all these things. Okay, so don't know what number I am on, but I'm just going to say I'm number 6, number 5. I don't know. So I said I would come back to this, and now I am. You are going to be in demand, right? If you cannot already tell from all the benefits I've just given you from doing a federal clerkship, so many career opportunities are going to open up for you after you've done a federal clerkship, because they recognize the benefits that you have gained, that you have learned from doing that federal clerkships. So you're going to have pretty much your pick of the litter of law firms, assuming that you've otherwise got strong interview skills, of course, and a strong resume. But if you've got the federal clerkship, you probably do, to interview with and negotiate what you want to do. Right? I have friends who negotiate at firms purely work from home arrangements. Like their firm is in another state and they live in another state and they work from home. I have friends who negotiated solely the type of work they want to do. I only want to do real estate, all and nothing else. I have other friends who negotiated their starting salary, who negotiated their bonus. I have other friends who went into Department of Justice honors programs or other government honors programs coming straight off of federal clerkships. Other friends who went straight into becoming an AUSA. Again, another thing that's pretty difficult to land. Straight into the Public Defender Service in Washington, D.C., also very popular and difficult to land. So when you're coming off of these federal clerkships, you have opportunities available and open to you that may not have been open to you otherwise, right? And that's because they recognize the value that you have gained and that you can give to them from having done and experienced a federal clerkship. The next thing, and kind of, kind of related, is salary. Salary, right? You can demand a higher starting salary. You can demand a higher bonus. So right now, the market rate for big law firms paying federal clerks salaries is, well, I'm not going to say it, you can Google it, but it's a certain number for one clerkship and then a certain number for 2 clerkships, which some firms pay you even more, right? And so you're also coming off of this clerkship and getting this huge, up to 6 figures is what I'll say, or close to 6 figures, and sometimes over, depending on if you have 1 or 2, and depending on the firm, bonuses coming off your federal clerkship. And that's on top of your salary, right? That's on top of this big law salary. And so again, this just goes to one of those things where it's like they recognize all the benefits that you would bring to them as a firm. And it's also a bragging point for the law firms to say, like, we've got multiple federal law clerks at this firm. We have federal law clerks who are going to be handling your cases. We have federal law clerks who clerked here, who clerked on this circuit court, who did all these great things, right? And that's why they pay these bonuses, because they recognize the value that you are bringing to the firm, and that's valuable to them. And so they're willing to pay you for it, right? So there are tons of benefits, tons of different things, tons of different reasons why you should consider doing a federal clerkship post-law school. I would be remiss if I did not say that these things are difficult to land. And they are, I think the last I checked, which was maybe just 2 weeks ago, it was like 3.4% of law student graduates land federal clerkships. So that's not a high number at all, right? 3.4%. And so you should not be discouraged if you can't get one, or if you're struggling to get one immediately. Typically you'll apply in your 2L year, at the end of your 2L year, to try and get one, because that's when, if you're using Oscar, which is the main system through which you would apply. But that's a whole nother video, okay? That's a whole nother video. So maybe I'll do that on the application system. However, if you are interested in getting a federal clerkship and you're at the law school application stage, the best thing you can do for yourself is make yourself stand out and aim to get into a top law school, so that landing that federal clerkship can be a little bit easier for you. So if you guys want to do that, then you should definitely sign up for law school coaching. We've got a monthly coaching community and one-on-one coaching available. You can view all of those by going to toppingthecurve.com. Also, click the link in the description box to sign up for our upcoming workshop. And I will see you guys on my next one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and follow Topping the Curve on Instagram and TikTok.